So the Seahawks are on a bye this week, and that means that I don't have to make a fool of myself in trying to predict what they will do, which is good. But we can talk about the season and how it's been so far.
Are you still over?
I am definitely over. Someone's got to be different on this show.
I've won one.
I honestly don't know how many I've
I think
won.
Lacey and Kellen have two.
Got to have 2 by now.
Think
Anyway,
they
it's
have
not
2.
important. Let's talk. Let's evaluate the team so far. What are everyone's thoughts on the Seahawks thus far?
Wait, real quick. I think I have 3 because I say the Seahawks are going to win every week, and they have 3 wins. So
Then you have 3.
Then
Look
you
at
have
that.
3. So
Lacey, leader in the clubhouse.
Kellen's got 2. I have 1.
Kellen will lose one this week for not being here. Anyway, Lacey, go.
Wow.
what are we talking? Thoughts on Seahawks? Okay. Well, they've obviously been looking great on both sides of the ball. Had a little rough start of the season, but they are definitely looking good now. This last weekend, I was extremely impressed with the Wilson to Graham combination. With Graham being the athlete that he is, Wilson is able to trust throwing some pretty risky passes, kind of threading the needle there, but Graham is able to just come down and secure the football, and it's incredible to watch. The game against the Jets this last weekend, Graham had 113 yards on 6 catches. He's an incredible weapon on this offense to add to an offense that is already incredible. So on the defensive side of things, it's equally as impressive to go back just to this trust. I talk about how Wilson can trust the fact that Graham's going to bring the ball down, but the defense has that same trust. They have been together for years now. Some key players on defense. Earl Thomas has been a Hawk since 2010, Richard Sherman since 2011, Cam Chancellor since 2010, and Cliff Averill since 2013. And I think Drew, being the other athlete in the room, I think you can kind of attest to this, that when you play with someone for a good amount of time, a couple years, you're a senior now, you've been playing with those other seniors for 3 years now, you build trust on the court, and you kind of learn their tendencies, and things just flow better. And I think that is something that we see in the Hawks defense.
Yeah, you spend time with guys, or women in your case, for a long span of time. You just kind of like know where they're going to be, and you know where you have to be because where they are. The one thing I think the Hawks need to worry about, though, is Hawks need to get healthy in the bye week. A lot of banged up. Even though a hobbled Russell Wilson is better than 55% of the quarterbacks in this league, a healthy Russell Wilson is the top 5 quarterbacks in this league. They're doing the same thing they did last year and the year before. They play with everyone's hearts at the beginning of the year, and you think they're going to be atrocious. And then they do give you the Aaron Rodgers relax and run off a bunch of games in a row once they start to figure things out. Pete Carroll's a great coach. Even though he messed over USC, he's still a great coach, and he's going to continue to have success at this level. I'm hesitant on the Hawks run game because it's kind of hit and miss with the injuries, but Russell Wilson's the man. It's a quarterback's league.
So I'm going to agree with Lacey. The Russell Wilson proved to be a much more accurate passer than I thought he was, because we knew he would be limited in his mobility against the Jets, and he was dropping dimes to Jimmy Graham. Like,
it's also the
ridiculous.
Jets. Let's not get excited here.
Regardless,
it's the Jets.
The throws, if the route is covered well and the throw lands where it has to land, that's Russell Wilson's pass more so than the Jets. Okay, so let's talk about what is kind of obviously their biggest deficiency, and that is the offensive line. Should people still be worried about the offensive line, or are the skill position players making up for, their lack of skill, how good they are? Is that,
okay?
Are they making up for it?
Well, I think we kind of already hit on it. I mean, against the Jets, you see Russell Wilson having to scramble a few times, which is what he's good at. But it does put a little more pressure on him finding his receivers and finding that perfect pass. But he was able, like we already hit on, he was able to find it. Although some of the passes were up in the air, he can trust that his receivers are good enough to come down with the ball. So, yeah, I think we can. I think the skill position players do make up for the offensive line.
Drew, what do you think?
I think that the front office and Pete Carroll made one fatal flaw when constructing this team, and that is they did it the right way at the beginning. They built inside out, okay? But the problem was when they built inside out and their out got really, really, really good, they had to pay the out. So guess what happened? they had no money to pay the in.
Mm-hmm.
And so they've lost key guys on both sides of the ball who fight in the trenches. That's the problem. The problem, and also this is a bigger systemic issue of what's going on in the NFL. If you can't hit in practice, you can't train linemen to block. I am sorry. Technique and film only get you so far. But until you hit somebody, you have no idea how to block them. And since you can't do that in practice, this is an NFL issue. I am sorry, Mr. Goodell. Football is a violent game.
Yeah. I think it's a conscious decision made by the front office that, I think they're putting all of their faith in the skill positions. And so far...
And that's a problem.
Well, so far it's worked. Can they get away with it?
For how long? Mm-hmm. But I don't think they're going to... But you can't win the playoffs without a good line.
Maybe. I don't know. They've looked decent. We've only seen them struggle with teams with exceptional defensive lines.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So if they don't have that, if a team doesn't have an exceptional defensive line, the Seahawks torched the 49ers and they torched the Jets. I think they're getting away with it.
So can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What about the Panthers? Or the Rams? Or the Cardinals? Oh, yeah, they're all in that division. That's a problem. The three best defenses in the 49ers at home is 4. The 49ers are number 4 in the league right now in terms of points given up, and number 1 with points given up at home. So you have 4 of the, and you have to go to Levi's after this. So you have the 4 best defenses in the league are in your division.
Yeah, but you gotta focus on the matchup. Are they the 4 best defensive as a whole? It does matter. We saw them barely beat. They
are
beat
the Rams in first place?
They are.
Yeah.
They are tied with the Seahawks at 3-1.
And they own the tiebreaker.
Yes. So far.
Why?
Defensive line.
Thank you. My point has now been made.
I think we're trying to make the same point there. All right, let's talk about the rest of the season for the Seahawks. What does everybody think will be the toughest stretch of games the Seahawks will play before the postseason if they make it?
Well, coming off the bye, I think the next 3 games are going to be big for the Hawks. They have to face the 3-1 Falcons, who are leading the NFC South division, and that game is at home, so they have an advantage there, but shouldn't be taken lightly on that game. Then the next 2 games for the Hawks, they hit the road against the Arizona Cardinals and the New Orleans Saints, both of which these teams are not the most standout teams in the league, I would say, but having to travel 2 weekends in a row can be extremely exhausting. Coming from a Division III athlete who the farthest I travel in conference is to Eastern Washington, and I can say that that's exhausting in itself. So I don't think travel is going to be too much of a factor, but it is something that can maybe get in the heads of the Hawks, but they need to be able to push through that and get some wins there.
Yep. Drew, go ahead, Drew.
Let me read to you. Well, the toughest stretch of games is going to be at Patriots, versus Eagles, at Bucks. Panthers come here. You have to face Brady, Wentz,
Jameis Winston.
Jameis Winston, thank you. I was blanking on his name. And Cam Newton the last 4 weeks of the season.
Oh, the end of the season,
the
too.
last 4 games in a row, you have to face 4 of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league. Let me tell you the quarterbacks who are still left on your roster. Matt Ryan, who just got his stuff together this last week. Carson Palmer, Drew Brees, Tyrod Taylor, who just got his big contract extension. Finally beat Bill Belichick. Then you have Tom Brady, mad at the NFL, which is all sorts of wrong for you. Carson Wentz, who's going to be the Rookie of the Year. Jameis Winston, probably having a great sophomore season off a great freshman campaign. And then Cam Newton's coming to your front doorstep to end the year.
Yeah.
They're not an easy game in this schedule. I mean,
you
could possibly thrash the Bills, but fantastic. Who doesn't?
Right. All right. Let's go through the division real quick. Who's going to be the toughest opponent for the Seahawks? We've already seen the Rams beat them 9-3, which was ugly to watch. But who's going to be the toughest opponent in division for the Seahawks to get past?
I think it's the Rams. They're the toughest one so far. The Hawks have lost to them so far, but I will say I think that was kind of a fluke. I think if we get the Rams again, if the Hawks are able to get the Rams again, that's not going to happen. They're going to be able to pull out a win.
My thing is this. I feel like everyone overreacted the Rams with how bad we thought they were with Jared Goff not getting a start.
Mm-hmm.
and him not even being put on the active roster. I think Hard Knocks was the worst possible thing for that franchise. I think it showed how bad that franchise, it just highlighted all the bad of the franchise. We didn't see a lot of good out of Hard Knocks. We saw a lot of problems, and I think that was bad for him. And then Case Keenum looks to be good, serviceable, can win games. Rams aren't bad. You guys up here in Seattle have consistent troubles with the Rams. Mm-hmm. And they're the Rams. You still have to play the Niners at home, the Rams, the Panthers at the end of the year, and you got to see Tom Brady. You guys have a rough time. I'm sorry. You guys have a rough schedule.